My name's Joe Kamler. I'm a lifelong resident of Shickley. I grew up on a farm northwest of Shickley, almost in the Sutton School District. Shickley's been my home except for 4 years of college. My parents, Linus and Frances Kamler, were and are simple and humble people. They taught me simple things like having a strong work ethic, leave your place better than you found it, and look for ways to help finish what you start. They also taught me that rural life provides all that you need. I'm most proud that I've lived in Shickley my entire life and that I've been able to raise have my wife Gina and raise my children here. Most people know this, but there are 12 years difference in age between my wife Gina and I. And when we're together, a lot of people get it mixed up who's older. So I just want to set the record straight that I am 12 years older than Gina. During my adult years in Shickley, I've been a member of the Shickley Lions Club, a current member of the Shickley FFA alumni. I serve on the Shickley Public School Board. I'm treasurer of the Knights of Columbus and a member of the Shickley Commercial Club. And I'm a member of the Shickley Sons of American Legion. I've been involved with the Shickley Community Foundation since 1991. Back in the late 1980s, Dr. Edwin Nelson came to Shickley, and he was a retired economics professor from Chadron State. And in his retired years, he drove around in rural Nebraska and tried to seek out communities to find ways to build them up and motivate them. And he came to Shickley, and Lawrence Lichty was his connection, and Lawrence believed in what Mr. Nelson was trying to do and thought it was a good idea for Shickley. So Mr. Nelson came to Shickley, and I think he came 3 different times, but every time there was a community-wide meeting and everybody would throw out ideas that they thought would benefit Shickley. And the pastor at the Methodist Church at the time, his name was Terrell Otto. He was new to Shickley. He had been to many, many communities. And he stood up and he said, I think a community foundation would work in Shickley. And we had no idea what he was talking about. But anyway, everybody thought that was a good idea. So from that, it got started, and they asked for 12 volunteers to see where this could go. I was very fortunate, I don't know why, but I raised my hand. And I was very fortunate to be on board at the very start when we had nothing. And to see it evolve to now have, assets of nearly $3 million. It's been so rewarding for me. I remember we're trying to raise money for the endowment. Mind you, our endowment now is around $2 million, but when we started, we had nothing. Our first idea was to do a telethon. We all one night went down to Lichty Oil, and they had multiple phones, and we all got the Shickley phone book out, and we just started dialing numbers and asking people for money. And they, what are you doing? They never heard of the foundation, didn't know what this money would be used for. I think we raised $16,000 through that telethon. Around 2000, Richard Walter got connected with folks from the Nebraska Community Foundation. The Shickley Community Foundation kind of spun their wheels from 1991 to 2000 and didn't have much guidance, didn't know what we were doing. And after we got connected with the Nebraska Community Foundation in 2000, well, the rest is history. I mean, that's why we have an endowment of $2 million and an asset base of $3 million. And thank goodness for them people and their training. We had a decent start, but we needed guidance, and through their support and hours of training, we have greatly benefited. course, my parents, Linus and Frances Kamler, they did their best to keep me on track and keep me on the rails, and for the most part, that worked. I'm also fortunate to have worked with an amazing group of community and business people that I indirectly used as mentors, not only in my business life, but also in community building. People like Ron Alfs, Merlin Erb, Richard Walter, Jeff Biggert, Jerry Grote, Lawrence Lichty, Tim Lichty, Jim Sliva. I've stole ideas and some of their values to get me where I am. Lots of childhood memories. You know, I was just a kid being a kid, and sometimes got in trouble, sometimes crossed the line. The Shickley community provided for this and allowed for this, and I'm very grateful for that. As an adult, one of my favorite memories is the decade of 2010 to 2020. I think it will go down as the greatest period of charitable giving in Shickley's history, perhaps per capita even in Nebraska. It was during this decade that the community building got built. That was a $1.3 million project, all donated funds. It was during that decade that the Shickley Community Foundation embarked on the Sherwood Challenge, and we successfully raised $531,000 for the Sherwood Challenge. And then in addition, a local church here added on to their church and put on a $450,000 addition. That was all during the decade of 2010 to 2020. I just don't see that happening in other communities. Per capita, I mean, that's a lot of money for our community. I will also say that it was during that time that the 50 Flags Veterans Memorial got going. And that was another $450,000 project that was kind of started towards the end of that decade. So again, that strikes me as just something very significant and memorable. The people, businesses, and organizations in Shickley are just truly connected. Shickley people genuinely care about each other. In addition, it seems like progressiveness, ingenuity, spiritual faith, philanthropy, and community pride are community-wide common values that drive Shickley people's lives. When a large group of people have the same values and same mission, great things get done, and I think that's Shickley's secret sauce. There has been a decline in our population. Just like other rural towns, we're not immune to having a slight population decrease. However, sets us apart from other rural communities is that here recently, a number of young families have moved back to Shickley. Very invigorating to me to see how many young children we have in the elementary grades now, and kind of making a comeback there. And people are choosing Shickley for a variety of reasons to come and raise their families. I'm proud that we have the Big Little Town Club that got started, because it's operated by all young family parents. It's very invigorating to me to see this new wave of young people starting to build up the community, sponsor Longhorn Days, Trunk or Treat, and other activities that just wouldn't be happening without their spirit. I feel Shickley's on the verge of some great things in the next 5 to 10 years. Number one, we are beginning to fill up the new housing addition on the north end of town. There's some nice improvements coming to that part of town. Number two, the Shickley Community Foundation can grant nearly $100,000 annually back to Shickley. We're exploring ways to make grants for housing and business development, business renovations, business expansion. When we get this figured out, you will see a significant upswing in our Main Street and Shickley as a whole. Do your job. Don't cut corners or ways to just do the minimum. Look for ways to help others and do the unexpected. These simple traits go a long ways in setting people apart in today's society.